All right,
Oh,
cool.
man, you're looking
I'm
good back
good.
there.
What's that?
Your background's looking pretty cool.
Uh, yeah, a lot of posters and stuff. A lot of it just from friends or shit that I've played in the past, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
of course, the sentimental like dog pick and
I see it.
shit like that. Yeah.
I just barely noticed it right now. It's funny. So, how's your morning been?
Not bad. We played last night. We opened for Quicksand at the Black Cat in
Oh,
DC,
no
which
shit.
was a blast.
I know Tony.
That was our first. What's that?
I know Tony.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. I had met Walter years ago. Old band I was in played with Rival Schools forever ago, and it was good seeing. This was like the first time I'd seen him since then.
I didn't
And
even know
then-
that they're still playing.
Yeah, they just put out a new album.
Oh, no
which
shit. I'm
plays,
honored.
yeah. And Stephen Brodsky from Cave-In is playing with them live now, which is really rad. So it was a lot of fun. Really good show. Sounded crushing. Narrowhead is on the road with them, and they're just phenomenal. Just like kind of a blanket of fuzz and chorus and
Yeah.
delay, and just like kind of a nice sound bath. And yeah, the show was fantastic. It was our first show since COVID hit, and it was nice to kind of like shake off some of the cobwebs. There were like definitely like some jitters and shit like that.
Oh,
but
wow.
am I allowed to curse? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
we're
Okay.
good.
And then yeah, this morning was kind of weird. Like one of my dogs, the Pit, that's actually right there. She has 2 torn ACLs, and we had to take her in for surgery like first thing this morning at like 7 a.m. or something like that.
Oh shit! What happened? How's that happen?
It just happens with dogs, man. Like I've had a couple pits over the years, and every one of them has had a torn ACL at some point in time. They just get excited. You know, when dogs do that like weird kind of like take off before. Yeah, I think that probably takes a toll over time. I imagine that as their bodies get heavier and their muscles get weaker, then that sort of excitement takes its toll on the pups. But yeah, so I took her in, but she's fine. She's out. One knee is done. We have the next knee in.
Does she like limp? Is that the thing with it?
Man, so
how can you tell?
Yeah, so like limping is a big part of it. You'll notice her just moving a little slower, but then with her, it would be going up steps or something like that. It's really gross. And in the context of this, anyone listening is probably like, oh, whatever. But like when you think of like someone's knee actually doing it, you hear like every step that she would take. And that is her like
pop.
Yeah, just popping back and forth, and that's the bone just like knocking on each other. So there's and I am not like a medical expert by any means at all, but my dad has blown out knees, my dog has blown out knees, and I've learned that the ACL and the meniscus they run hand in hand, and if the ACL is torn, the meniscus is kind of the pad in between the 2 bones, like the femur and the lower bone. I don't know the names of the bones, obviously. And when that gets worn down, it's just, that is discomfort times 1,000.
Yeah, I have bad knees, so that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I got bad knees too. Fortunately, I've never had a tear like that. You know, knock on wood. But yeah, no fun.
Think about it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're here. We're celebrating 2 things. One being the EP Holy Ground.
Mhm.
And then we're also celebrating our first single, Cinnamon Shane.
Yeah, that was when we did, man, over a year ago. When we first started booking shit, we needed something out there to get on shows, you know? Like I think like gone are the days of sending out like a paper press kit and sending a demo CD to clubs and shit like that. So now I think it's you either hit up the promoter if you know the promoter, or the talent buyer, or the booking agent or whomever is involved, you send them like just kind of like, hey, here's my Instagram, here's my Spotify page, here's whatever. We didn't have any of that shit up and running, so we did a live recording of that song, Cinema Shame, filmed it, and then sent the YouTube link out as kind of a, hey, this is what we sound like, more or less. And that was over a year ago. That was to get on shows, and then played 2 shows. COVID happened, and we're like, all right, well, shit, why don't we start recording some stuff without really a game plan? and yeah, now Holy Ground is coming out. It's EP. We were kind of like, should we do a double EP? Should we do an EP then LP? We have enough. What should we do? We decided on just doing an EP, getting out there, playing as much as we can off of that, and but yeah, put out a single in the meantime. So Cinema Shame has like kind of had a weird second release, like a studio release.
Yeah. Talk to me about this single. Why this song? I haven't heard the CD. I haven't heard the EP Holy Ground. I don't think it's out, right? It's not out available. I looked through your guys's your run sheet, or the one sheet that you sent me, and I didn't see it. And I tried to look it up. I just couldn't find it.
All right, I'll make sure you get an advance like link to it and stuff like that. I mean, man, why Cinema Shame? I think that was the first song that came together that you could call quote unquote accessible. It doesn't have all the norms of a like run of the mill single archetype kind of thing that you would hear and be like, okay, that's the band's single. Like, it's not verse chorus bridge outro sort of thing. But it has some of those tendencies. It definitely has it has some hook in there. Kyle is a phenomenal vocalist that is just able to find the right hook, and then he's either playing off of what I'm doing, or he'll have something and then I'll start playing off of what he's doing, or he'll play off what I do. I hear what he does. I'm like, all right, now that's yours. And I'm just going to do something completely different. And that one came together pretty quickly. I think I put out, I demoed the first half of it maybe, and sent that over to Kyle and Jimmy at the time and said, here's half of this thing. Let me know if you like it, and I'll dig into it a little more. And Kyle, within an hour, sent back scratch vocals off of what was just there. I was like, oh shit, okay. Now it's starting to like blossom in my head and everything like that. So I immediately sat down, finished a couple parts here and there, added some, I call them like tension notes, or like sort of lingering areas, sent it back to Kyle, and that thing was done in no time. And those are usually the songs where, in my experience, if it comes together really quickly and you don't absolutely fucking hate it after a week, then it's you probably found something good in there. So those are the ones where it makes sense to kind of lean into it and say like, this just works, and it came really quickly.
I'm sorry.
No problem. So yeah, I mean, those are the ones where it's kind of just like, let's roll with this. It works. So it works. Played it for our significant others and such, and they were just like, this is a good one. So lean into that.
I like it. It's this song, it's a throwback for me. It sort of puts me in it gives me the Deftones vibe, a little bit mixed with At the Drive-In a little bit, maybe some even who are those? I can't remember their name off the top of my head. The Three Evils, they sing that song.
I don't know.
Well, I like it. It's very
awesome. Thank you.
It is very nighttime driving with the windows down, maybe having a cigarette. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool. Yeah, Jimmy and I, our drummer. I'm sure everyone in the band is, but we're all very obsessed with fall and all. Where are you based out of?
I'm in California.
Okay, So you barely get fall.
It's hot as fuck right now, man. It's
Yeah,
like 90 degrees and it's windy.
oh yeah, I was
Like,
out there. Man, when was I out there? About a month ago, and it was it was about a month ago, and it was 102, 103 like average every day. And I'd wake up, it'd be like, oh, it's pretty nice out. Like I'll go. I was staying in Silver Lake. I was like, I'll go like kind of walk around the reservoir and walk up some of the hills of Los Feliz and stuff like that. And by the time 11 a.m. rolled around, I was just drenched, and all my friends were like, "Yeah, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's 102 degrees outside. Like, are you stupid?" So,
most of the time, like where I live in Ventura.
okay,
It's like 70, 71.
perfect. Yeah,
And every day, it's like that every day. Like, but let's say 5-6 times a year it gets like this, and it's fucking hot and windy. They call it Santa Ana winds because it's east wind. So we have the desert on the other side of us, and when the wind is going from the east, it pushes all that hot wind.
yeah,
And it sucks, man. So I don't even want to go outside. And,
I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, we have fall is like the best. It's just like peak 71, 72 degrees, and then it's usually like low mid 60s. Everyone calls it hoodie weather because everyone's just wearing hoodies, and it's like just cool enough to where it's not hot, it's not warm enough to be sweaty and everything of the sort. So it's perfect weather. And there's always like fall and winter albums that we love, and Jimmy the drummer and I are in particular just completely obsessed with curating, like, this is the ultimate fall album, this is the ultimate winter album. Like, lots of shit like Russian Circles and Mogwai is clearly up there. Like it's just the shit that works on a dreary day kind of thing. So I think we're really focused and enjoy writing that music, not to like pigeonhole us and like put us into that like sort of thing where it's just like, this is what we do and it's all we're gonna do. We have shit that's pretty poppy.
How's Holy Ground? Is that a fall weather album? Is that what you guys are calling it?
I'd call it that. I would say like Cinema Shame is probably the most like spring vibe song on there, but I think it definitely feels like a fall album. Most of the songs were written in the winter or fall. Some of the songs are like 2 years old and were written, at least like core ideas. Jimmy and I, when we were in an old band and when this band first started, it's not like LA where there's practice facilities and rehearsal rooms everywhere. Like if you're in the DC area, there's no such thing. You find this one storage unit that's like in kind of a sketch neighborhood that will just be like, you could come in here and just run a power cord all the way down the hall. You go in there and it's like 10 bands all playing in like storage units. It just sounds like shit, but it's in a basement, it's dark, it's like miserable, there's no climate control, so it's either 120 degrees or it's 40 degrees depending on what time of year it is.
Fucking
and yeah, so like I think the kind of music you write when you're in that sort of like almost feels like a K-hole kind of like vibe, it'll have an impact on you. Like do you ever listen to like Icelandic music? It's like it all like has that same like like really pretty kind of hopeful but also like overcast vibe.
No despair or just despair. But maybe one day the prince will save me. What does Holy Ground mean to you guys?
Man, that's such a Kyle question. I'm actually going to pull up his thought on this because that is I don't want to fuck up his quote. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, we kicked around a lot of titles. I'm horrible with naming stuff. So like I will always do something that is a complete joke. Every working title that I have is either a complete joke or like a soundbite of something I've heard recently. So
That's the same shit I do. Like right now, my wife is pregnant, and every name that comes out of my mouth is just fucking bullshit. Like I'm just joking, like barbarian. That's the name I keep on running with, or warlord. Just so I don't have to decide on what name to, because every name, it doesn't matter what I want. You know what I mean? I know that.
Yeah. I mean, and out of context, it's just like, you know, it could the dumbest, most simple things where it's like, you know, oh, this is my friend's last name. Sounds weird and cryptic, you know?
Yeah.
Like my Jimmy and I had an old band, Black Clouds, and we would always have just, you know, names like Barcelona, and people were like, "Why Barcelona?" It's like, I don't know, that was just the working title. It just stuck. Like, there's like nothing beyond it than that. But with Barrow Waves, it's the same thing. Lightheads was called dating sites, all of them. Because there was that like little dude in New York that like got in a fight at a bagel shop.
Yeah.
And he just kept yelling like people on dating sites. I was just like, all right, this is called dating sites. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna ask my wife if she wants to name the kid dating sites.
Is this your first kid or?
No, it's my third.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
It was unexpected, man. I'm like pushing 40. You know what I mean? Who's deciding to have a kid at 40?
my wife, she we just had our second, and we're 40-ish in there. But I found it. Kyle says, holy ground is the place where everything in your past resides in either a positive or negative light. And there was that kind of registered with me. Everyone was kind of just letting Kyle decide on what he wanted to call it. It's his subject matter, it's his lyrics and everything of the sorts. Obviously, if he's saying something stupid, then we would be like, hey, like let's lean off the MAGA talking points on like this song or something like that. Yeah. like let's not do that. But with I think thematically he kind of covers a lot of the same stuff that all of us in the band collectively feel, commiserate on, for better or for worse. And coming off of Black Clouds, which was mine and Jimmy's old band, the last album we did was very similar to that sort of mindset of this is a place where it's a place for reflection. And not to get like too heady and preachy, but for us, that record Dreamcation was like concept record of. Do you ever see that like Vice Media thing? They made two terrible movies about like the Sea of Trees, but like Vice Media did like a story on Aokigahara, the suicide forest in Japan, and it was kind of just it was like that struck a chord with us where it was just like, what would it actually be like? We're all obsessed with Mulholland Drive, the movie, as well. So it was kind of like, what would it be like to not have your life flash before your eyes, but like really kind of reflect on your life and how some things in one light are a very positive memory, but then it kind of twists a little bit. And then it's just like, you're in a bad place in your head or whatever. And then it turns into a kind of negative memory. And Black Clouds did that a lot by kind of tinkering with like, all right, now this motif is in a major scale, and then the next time it pops up is going to be 4 songs from now, and it's going to be in a minor scale, and it like feels a little darker, feels a little more fucked up, and we would play with shit like that. Burial Waves was, I wanted it to be kind of a continuation of that sort of writing, and there are several songs that when we first started playing them, I saw them almost as like one piece. I saw them as, this is part A, this is part B, this is part C. I don't, like I mentioned earlier, I don't like writing verse, chorus, bridge. I like writing part A, part B, part C, part D, and like very rarely, if ever, repeating parts. I like things to flow and move in a very deliberate and conceptual fashion. And I think Kyle really clicked with that.
And you guys are like, from what I can gather, it seems like it's building to a point, right? That's how you guys are it's like it's like a story, right? Of course, it's
Mm.
music, but a lot of people, they do the traditional verse, chorus, and then boom, where that's a song. But
Yeah, and,
in
and
this
that's great.
one,
I like a lot of
yeah, and
music
it's
that is
cool.
like that. Yeah.
Everyone, like, I bet you there's a ton of that shit on my playlist.
Mhm.
But what you guys have done is real, like, creatively put this up and build and slowly get there. And I don't know, I really enjoy it. It's on a musical roller coaster type of thing.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that was something that we deliberately did with Black Clouds, and that's something that I've tried to kind of do with Burial Waves. But like, there are other voices, and there are much more talented people than me in the band that are kind of helping steer the ship and saying, no, let's scratch this. Like, dude, I do not like this chord progression. I can't figure anything out. Or, hey, that's the one time that I get like kind of, you know, not digging my heels in, but when I'm very, I get bummed when people are like, oh, it's the same thing. It's like, it's not the same thing. Like there's what, 7, 8 notes, and then offshoots of those notes, flat and sharp. They're all the same chords. Every Beatles song, every fucking Stone song, every Zeppelin song, and that's just classic rock. I don't know why I'm stuck on classic rock, but they're
I
all the
mean,
same. They're all
along
the
the
same
way, it's
chords.
everything.
Yeah, they're all the same chords. There's major, there's minor, there's flat, there's sharp, and you could dance around those same fret notes. And just as long as you're changing the groove, as long as you're changing the dynamics, as long as you're changing the articulation and color on top and the textures around it, like, by all means, if it feels cohesive and it feels like a story or a part of something bigger, as you said, leading to something, then stick with it. I love that kind of music. And I the pit hole that a lot of people fall into is they think like, oh, if you're leading to something, it needs to be a big epic crusher of an ending, and that happens a lot. But when I find myself doing that, that's when I'm like, oh, fuck it, I want this song to just end with like a 3-minute drone and nothing else. like I want nothing. I want the most anticlimactic song for this one because we already did that shit. So.
And Phil Spector was really great at that, right? Like building the wall of sound was what he would call it.
Yeah, like that Murder. He was kind of a pioneer with so, but yeah, I it's hard to listen to those records. I mean, it's a phenomenal placeholder for music, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just the times we're in right now, but it's hard to separate the art from the artist with something like that.
Yeah, but what made it's weird because it made me change the way I view art. Like it seems like the great ones are fucking crazy. There's something off about them. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. So
and
like,
I think it's by intent. Like that's just because you love your art so much, you don't give a fuck about anything else. You don't.
Yeah,
you don't protect it like you protect your life.
Yeah, it's weird to think what a song sounds like with and without certain context. So like the example I always think of is the piano coda to Layla. It was written by the drummer for Derek and the Dominoes, and that's a dude who ended up like murdering his mom or murdering his wife, and
I didn't even know this one.
Yeah, and I know I'm fucking up the facts on it, but anyway, the guy's convicted murderer. And to me, after learning that little tidbit of information, I can't hear that song without thinking that is what a madman hears in his head, like in a fit of mania or something. This beautiful, and whatever the fuck Eric Clapton is on right now, fuck that dude. But what was in that guy's head at that moment in time is crazy. And it's weird listening to anything under the context. And my wife and I talk about it all the time, and I'm sure with kids, like it's probably entered your mind, like, do you play Michael Jackson for your kids? Do you tell them the context of it? Do you play, if you're playing Nirvana for someone who's never heard Nirvana, do you give them the context? Same with Elliott Smith and stuff like that. It's do you play Skeleton Tree by Nick Cave and say, oh, by the way, this is what happened when they were recording this album? And just it changes the way that I hear those kind of songs, and it's really shallow to say kind of for the better, to
Mhm.
know the emotional trauma that some of these people were unpacking in some of these songs. But I'm always like careful to not hang on to that stuff because it almost feels like exploitive, you know?
It also, but to me, I take it as a part of beauty of who we are as humans, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And the beauty of humanity in its faults as well. It's a very thin line
Hmm.
between the craziness and the beauty. Not that any of those people who've done any of that shit, that's not at all okay. But
Right.
just
Oh,
to
yeah.
get into a mind of artists, like to be that great, do you have to be crazy? And the people that are crazy, like great right now, are we gonna find out the craziness behind them in the future?
Yeah. I mean, I think if anything, it adds a level of sincerity that like most like music, real true people that appreciate music as an outlet connect with. I mean, there's always the saying if you're writing comedy or something like that, like if you've thought it, then other people have thought it as well. Like other people have thought what you're thinking, and that's why certain jokes land, and that's why some of those memes that are so hyper specific, you're like, I thought I was the only one, but no, you're not. You're not alone. And I think that when people are kind of unpacking trauma or going through a grieving process or anything of the sorts and channeling that through music, you notice it a lot in movies, particularly like horror movies in particular. Maybe it's just because it's Halloween, but like so many of those movies come during dark times in country, dark times in world politics, or anything like that. John Carpenter taps into that really well. You have some of the Alan Pacula movies, shit that comes out right after the Cold War. It's like, oh, okay, I'm tapping into this right now, and I understand the mindset of these characters because this was very much on the pulse of what we were all feeling as a country. And I think that when you're putting all of that into music, it adds to it. And the flip side of it is someone, you know, not to bash like Nickelback fans, but it's like, you have someone like Chad Kroeger who famously says like, oh, I have top 40 playing in my house all the time because it'll plant hooks in my mind and it'll help me write these massive Nickelback songs that people at McDonald's love. And if that's what you're doing, that's great. But like to me, that's shallow. That doesn't have the sincerity that is, you know,
Well, there's artists and then there's businessmen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think there's
And
something kind of sociopathic with uh, doing the business side of music. Obviously, you want people to respond to your music, but to manufacture it in a way where it's just like, I'm doing this because it worked for Nicki Minaj. That's why I'm doing it. Like,
yeah,
you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
I'm an artist, but more of a comedian artist.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so a part of me just had to take a step back because that's all I would think about. I would be, I'm too crazy.
Hmm.
Like I just love it so much that I notice how I get with the people who I work with, or I'm actually trying to sort out my thoughts on this. It's just funny how it came up in this conversation.
Mm.
I took a step back because I feel that that's all I would just obsess about it. Up at all hours of the night, not caring, losing track of friendships, relationships, getting desensitized towards the people that I love in my life. And I felt there was a certain time I felt I only can do one or the other.
Right. There's something about the uh, endless pileup of deadlines and stress that is put on people this day and age due to technology. Like, make no mistakes about it. It is 100% about like, I need to put out more content. I need to do this. I need to service my fans in this way. I need to address my audience in this way. I need to deliver this. The immediacy of all of this information and all of this content has shortened the attention spans of audiences so much, where, when I was in 7th grade, I had, this Fugazi album, and I would play that thing nonstop. And it was the only thing that mattered in the world to me at that point in time. You go see a movie, like the first time I saw Jurassic Park, I was like, well, fuck, I'm going to see this movie in theaters as many times as I possibly can. And that movie was in theaters for over a year. And I could not get enough of it because it held my attention, because I didn't have 1,000 other distractions about, like, this is what this comedian says. And it's just weird. So much of it is who is first to take this person down, who is first to put their hot take out there that really lands. And I feel you, man. It is absolutely taxing, and the only way to fix it is to really just kind of step away and just say, I'm gonna take a breather, I'm going to hang out with my family, I'm going to Jimmy is great within Burial Waves of just being like, let's not even practice, let's just hang out as a band, like let's not forget that's why we're kind of doing this. It's important to just connect by disconnecting, essentially.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with it, and and a lot of my jokes can get mean. I mean, we do a podcast, we do stand up, and so I don't know, it's just weird. That's a pretty awesome discussion we just had. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. There's
because it's true. It's very, the mind of artists and that what makes them tick. Really, that's one of the things I've been.
You have to. It's a goal to be innovative without being redundant with like what's happening around, and like I think so many people resort to being mean with some of their hot takes and shit like that, because that's what we're accustomed to now because of Facebook, Twitter, any of the social media
walk
platforms.
Around my head, like any person who walks by me, I would just point out in my head what is wrong with them. So if I would if I needed to be funny, I can just pull it up right there. Sure. And I don't like that. And that's I don't like that. That is it anger? Is it negativity in my life? I don't want that.
I think so much of it, it's a balance of both. I think it's when you see an atrocity, your gut reaction is going to be like, fuck you, like you're going to want to tell that person, go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that the kind of dopamine rush that you're going to get feeling like that's actually heard, when guess what? It's not heard. like Ted Cruz is not reading my tweets when I tell him to go fuck himself. I can guarantee you that much. But when someone distills it down to just like putting the onus back on that person in a thoughtful, clear-headed, I've taken a deep breath, I've counted to 10, and essentially what you're telling me is you don't want these people to have this because you don't want them to have this. That's your only justification for it. That shit seems to land a lot harder, and that shit seems to be a lot more effective because it registers with people more as a look at this really pissed off, angry person. It's like, oh wow, this person just cut through all the red tape and got right to the heart of the issue. And there's John Ronson wrote that amazing book, So You've Been Publicly Shamed, and he just did like the Monica Lewinsky produced documentary on HBO, the 15 Minutes of Shame, and they talk about on Facebook and Twitter in particular the interactions, which is how they make money. They make money off of interactions because that's the market data they're able to sell to advertisers and stuff like that. And I'm going off on like a crazy tangent here. I apologize. But they noticed that the interactions from people that would want to take people down or shame people or put in the first word, the hot take that is just degrading to someone, would always get the bigger interactions. People love to see a downfall. People love to see someone get hit hard. People love watching America's Funniest Home Videos. Well,
people like slams, all that on it because they're so unhappy. A lot of people are so unhappy with their own life.
Yep.
That is the satisfaction that helps them get through.
Exactly.
Is like, I'm going to tear this person down. I'm going to, crush this person's career because fuck it, I can.
Right. And what and the flip side,
evil to a point, I think.
Yeah. And the flip side of it is as we're talking about with music, it's I'm going to take these feelings and manifest them in a different way. I'm going to put them in I'm going to channel them into something that makes me and other people happy. Or or in the case of like music I love, really sad. Depressed.
That's nuts, man. Yeah, that it's just, I don't know where we're at. I'm not sure. Of course, a person like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, those people deserve, especially. But some people, I don't know, like the Dave Chappelle thing that's going on. Maybe I'm not 100% on board with that one, or it seems like they're trying. I'm not even sure because the verdict's still out with the Baldwin guy. They're trying to take him down. Like it just seems like anytime someone does anything, there's like a mob of people ready to just attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see the dangers of mob mentality when you look at January 6th. You see the dangers of getting on that bandwagon of anger and vitriol and everything of the sorts. You could see what hate manifests. But like I think that with comedy in particular, the thing that I notice, Chappelle in particular, I was just talking about this the other day, and make fun of white people all you want, please. Like we 100% deserve it. Like absolutely. Our privilege 1000% needs to be put in check. But I've always found the problem I have with Dave Chappelle is, going after a transgender community, particularly a colored transgender community. These are people that are in the hardest place of their life, the darkest corners of their life, and coming out or transitioning in any which way, shape, or form, it means that they are willing to a lot of times put everything that is sacred and that they hold dear to them, sideline it for their own personal well-being and mental health. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to not feel like yourself in your own skin throughout your entire life. And then you finally take a brave step to come out and say, this is important. This is who I am. And I want to feel comfortable. And then to have one of the most famous, successful comedians in the world punching down on you instead of celebrating it. It's heartbreaking. And I loved Dave Chappelle, and the documentary that he, I guess, is now shelved, possibly. I saw it recently, and I saw it when it premiered in DC, and it is a fucking moving thing for comedians. It reminded me of being a punk musician, where it's like against all odds, we put on a show for people and we entertain people. So it's really heartbreaking to see someone, like I said, punch down. You always have to fucking punch up. Like, no, like don't punch down. Don't punch down to people that are like hurting. I think
also, in the same breath, we all are hurting in the world. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to, we can't sit here and as a community or as a world, just say, oh, you're hurting, you don't hurt, even white people. I'm not white. I don't want you to think I'm like this white supremacist or anything like that. No. Yeah. So, but however, I see, like, we just cannot have these situations where we're continuously judging who can hurt the worst. And, sure. Oh, you can't say nothing about this. No. There's no, all these gatekeeping rules need to go. We are, for one, we're American. Number two, we're human beings. Those are the two things that we need to within ourselves.
Trust me, I agree. People should be able to say whatever the fuck they want, but that comes with consequence.
100%.
And like that is I think that's the biggest thing, is people are talking about like, oh, he's getting all this undeserved backlash. It's like, no, that is deserved backlash. Like undeserved backlash is, man, okay, so you mentioned Alec Baldwin, and like when I first heard that, I was horrified and felt so, I was like, man, he is just as much of a victim here, not just as much, but Jesus, yeah, not just as much as of a victim, but he did not lose his life, but like the trauma that he's going to carry for the rest of his life is insane. And
I understand the FBI or whoever, the police going down there, but when we as a society did go in this mob mentality and just go after him.
Well, yeah, I think everyone needs to wait. Yeah, the hot takes are the thing, because the hot takes were initially like, leave him alone, he's suffering. But then the more details came out, it was like, oh wait, he was an executive producer on this film and knowingly cut corners, saying, let's get the union out of here and bring non-union workers in here that notoriously cut corners. Yeah, so like that sort of stuff is just like, dude, like come on, man. Like you like this happened on your watch and it was avoidable. And trust me, I run a business and I look at the liability, everything that comes through, you know, like, what is it? Pilots call every passenger lives. They don't call them passengers. When you run a business that involves a large group of people in one place at a given point in time, the liability that you take on with every person that crosses over that threshold into your business, you have to look at it that way. And you have to understand, like, you know, I think a big wake up call for a lot of people was that Great White Fire, when that venue burned down. And that will forever stick with me as just like this incredibly safe place, you know, recklessly scorched. And all the lives that were lost, and then the consequences that came with that, all avoidable. Like all of that was avoidable. So I look at all that stuff the same. And with again, I don't know all the details of Alec Baldwin stuff. I'm not a professional in that regard. But when corners are apparently cut to save costs,
money.
the cost goes beyond just finances. You know.
And you're right. I mean, he's either in his head, one of two things are happening when he closes his eyes. He's happy about it, or he's fucking terrified. There's no in between. He's not just going da 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 da.
Right.
So, and I can't picture anyone being happy that they accidentally shot someone in the fucking face. You know what I mean?
No.
So I would imagine, and he is dealing with a lot. And you go through those comment sections, it's just.
Oh, dude, I can't, man. I can't read comments.
Just ridiculous the way people think. And I'm thinking, like, it can't be true the way all these people are saying.
No, I mean, sites like Brooklyn Vegan, like getting rid of the comment section. That's like one of the best things I think could possibly have done. Like it's just like, again, people get their kicks off of taking someone down, and like people forget the rule. You want to punch up, you don't want to punch down. And if someone is going through a hardship, no matter what, like I don't know a single person. I love my wife. My wife is perfect. And it is impossible to look at someone like that and be like, oh, like, here's this flaw. But like, nobody is absolutely perfect. Nobody is. And knowing that, and knowing that some people will always carry pain in one way or another, or process trauma, unless they're completely disconnected and a total sociopath, which we've seen all the time in like a lot of mass shooting situations and stuff like that. If there's a soul there, if there's like a heart there or anything of the sorts, like it is a responsibility to exercise empathy and sympathy and kind of, take a step back and just be like, I'm not gonna kick this guy while he's down, you know. I think there's better comedy out there. Just
people who are exercising what it's like to have power in their hands.
Right.
I was gonna be a priest at one point.
Oh wow. Catholic or
Catholic, yeah.
Okay.
Catholic.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in some training, and the person that was training me said, you give a person a power. If you give humans power, you find out who they truly are.
100%.
And so that's never left me. So anytime I got a little bit of power, I've always kept that in the back of my head. Like, oh, you don't want to be an asshole when you have this power, because that means you're truly a fucking asshole,
Yeah.
And so that always it rings hard with me, that power. And I think people, when they have power to upset people, especially in the comments, just to hurt somebody because they're hurting, whether it be a right or a left or positive or negative, they see it and like, I'm going to attack.
Sure.
And I think we need to have the dialogue with our circles, that's what's happening. It's a power grab. But there are some people who really feel that way and really are upset about things too. So
I think the base discussion that needs to kind of really be understood and realized before like diving into what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, or anything of the sorts, is just like the kind of understanding of what manifests power. So like there is power of position, such as a spotlight, such as having a platform, such as having an audience, or anything of the sorts. The fucking Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. If you have a platform and everything like that, don't say dumb shit. Like you don't need to, like, obviously there's a huge podcaster that is out there that is worth billions of dollars that is putting out very dangerous information time and time.
I hope you're not saying Joe Rogan, because I don't agree with that statement.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that there's a very powerful podcaster that is out there that is putting out some dangerous information.
A very powerful news organization that's continuously running lies about that guy as well.
Oh, there's
their doctor just went on his show and admitted that there's lies coming from that organization.
Oh, I mean, again,
it just breaks my heart that we're in that situation and they're saying fucking horse.
So I mean, the other one is money. Money is a huge thing. People don't like, you don't need to see this person on TV every single day or hear their voice on a podcast every single day to know that there is money going from this pocket into this person's pocket, and that person is making decisions, and that person is using their platform for good or unfortunately for worse sometimes. So like I think it's like, again, people can say whatever the fuck they want, but consequences come with it. Consequences come in terms of elections. Consequences come in terms of viewership, listenership, just audience sizes. You look at any band that goes on tour and then says, like, plays Chicago, drops an N-bomb, and is filmed on whatever, and then they're playing Kansas City the next night. They might do well in Missouri for the next 2 nights, but by the time they get to the Northeast, their audiences are just either depleted or their shows are getting canceled or anything of the sorts. Who was it? Man, the Cold Cave, they took Boyd Rice out like a couple years ago, and as soon as venues found out, they were like, show's canceled. It's just like, we're not letting you bring a neo-Nazi like in here to like perform a set. And it's just like, oh, he's an artist and this thing. Yeah, but we're not going to entertain it.
Yeah, and things like that, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because you don't know what any of those people are capable of. You have people on the extremists on both sides, and nothing good will happen from that. Because I've ran in circles, punk rock circles, and anytime they find out there's a Nazi anywhere, they're going to go handle it.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. And I think that in addition to understanding the just having a grasp on understanding what power is and how it's manifested, I think that there's also the like kind of it goes hand in hand with understanding and being able to differentiate intention versus impact. Like a lot of people that are rushing to, like, for instance, even like Jon Stewart rushing to defend Dave Chappelle by being like, that's not his intention. It's like that very might well be the case, but the impact is what is causing concern here, not his intention. It's the impact of his choices. So like if someone has a powerful platform to say something that is going after someone that's marginalized or putting out information that is dangerous in any which way, shape, or form, it's not the intention of the person that is doing it. It's the impact that might have. And again, it goes back to what we were saying about with immediacy. People just feel the need to not read the full story. They're going to read the headline, the hot take, the
And
the
respond to it.
150, yeah, the Twitter character limit of what they want, and they're only going to read and connect with the ones that they immediately agree with, and they're just going to filter out the ones that are just like, this isn't interesting to me. Keep scrolling, you know.
And we have so much information at our disposal. Confirmation bias is a real thing. Because if you want, I can go and prove to you probably that grass is really orange.
Yeah, I mean, like
if I wanted to die on that hill, I probably could have some sort of footing.
And honestly, the people that say that sort of stuff to me, I'm just like, then go die on that hill. Like, and because I'm gonna keep living over here. The people that are like, the earth is flat, I will die on that hill. It's like, okay, go. If the earth is flat, there are no hills, so go die on whatever plane you're talking about. Yeah. Because like that shit. The people that are so cemented tells me that they have given up trying to better learn, be better people, or be open-minded. They're simply saying, I am closed-minded to this issue. Now, that being said, there are certain things that I don't think need to be entertained, but that's my personal preference. And that is my personal space to be like, oh, like you're going to continue to talk about like these fucking QAnon talking points or anything like that. Okay. Don't come over for Christmas, you know, like that, that's kind of where it is. It's just like, you know, you live in that fantasy world. I live in reality.
Like, could we just like, I'm not a QAnon guy. I don't want you to think that, but
no, I'm not.
Why can't we just let them think that? Like, fucking go let them think that.
Because I think, you know, you see the result of when Poison Idea is not put in check, and it's taken as fact. And this is something that I can't imagine people would, not every person would be able to relate to. But I live in Washington D.C. and the last venue that we played before COVID hit was Comet Ping Pong. And Comet Ping Pong is a place that I absolutely love. I've played, I don't even know how many shows I've played there.
Is that like the pizza basement thing?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, there's no basement. Second off, like we all know that all of this disinformation is coming from like some fucking like master virgin. Yeah. Some fucking virgin and his fucking like virgin somehow weirdo dad that lives in, you know, Philippines or some shit, that is just putting the shit out there just to watch, because they like to watch the shit fall. But, you know, I have played that venue. I have loaded in past QAnon crazies. I have friends that work there that were there the day that the gunmen came in. No one should have to experience that. No one should have to experience what those people have gone through.
For every action, you have consequences. Right? You say something, you lose your audience, you lose this, and now this guy loses years of his life, right? Yeah. So and that's, we can't.
But he's losing years of his life in jail for carrying a gun into a pizza place. But what is that loss of the innocent people that were just simply working that pizza place the day that he went in there, if he aimed the gun at them as opposed to just firing a round off into the air, you know, like that? So that was avoidable. That's a poison idea. That's a stupid idea of like, yeah, these pedophiles, this pedophile cabal runs the world and stuff like that. And it all takes place in the basement of this pizza parlor in Washington, D.C. You know, you put that stuff out there, you know, it puts people in danger. It puts people at risk. That's just unnecessary. Same with like Alex Jones and like all the parents of like Parkland that like, you know, fortunately had a victory.
And he's suffering. You know, it's over. I mean,
earned.
He can't even get guest stars on certain podcasts because it's just that podcast gets shut down.
Good. So like, I hope he falls asleep every night, and the last thoughts that run through his mind as his head hits the pillow are, man, was this worth it? Could I have just stopped and listened to what they were saying and said, hey, I'm sorry, this got out of hand. Let me address my audience and say, guys, I am a fiction writer. I am like an Orson Welles reading War of the Worlds to this thing. Do not take this as fact. Leave these people alone. No, he did. He dug his heels in. You know?
I think that the danger here is telling people what to think and telling people that they can't have opinions or can't say certain things. Or I think that is the danger we're running, because that's what separates us right now from every other country, is our freedom. And and it's probably because I served for 12 years. And I seen people die for something that they love and believe in. And I think it's we're scaling back a little bit when we start saying you can't. And I understand, I get it, it's dangerous, but life is dangerous. And like you said, we have a great system put in place, or we have a system that if people do something, they're going to pay if it goes too far.
Yeah, I think that you know, with everything you're saying, I trust me, I agree. I think people should be able to say whatever they want. Sadly, I just don't. I think that works and benefits in a country where education is treated like a top priority. Because if you keep people dumb, you're going to keep them believing the dumbest shit. And the more that we, you know, explore the idea that like, oh, Jesus walked around the earth the same time as the dinosaurs and stuff like that. It's like, guys, come on, like let's just look at the numbers here. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the science. Let's look at like things that are fact. And I know you said the grass is green sort of thing. If everyone was just like, no, grass is orange. Grass is orange. I will die on that hill, and I will take you with me to die on that hill. Then it becomes a problem. So
I don't fucking believe it's orange.
Yeah, exactly. Let them go. Let them die off. Let them do whatever.
I love human beings, right? I love people, and whatever. Like, I'm all for people getting married who want to get married. If you want to be called a him or her, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with anything, whatever makes you happy. That's what I want to be.
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's I think that's like what a lot of people are missing, is they get fed the opportunity, like we said earlier, to take people down, and that's what they need. That is now their lifeblood, to take people down, to go after them, to attack them, to troll them and stuff like that. So not everyone is able to exercise the judgment that you do. And people don't know how to put a cap on it. People aren't able to separate the Twitter wars, which is just, whatever. Like, who fucking cares? Like, me getting insulted on Twitter is hilarious. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But, there's an immediacy, there's an availability to this sort of stuff, this information, where people just don't know when to stop, whether they're doxing people, whether remember when swatting was a thing?
Yeah,
like, it's just like people find a way to exploit, this negativity in the worst possible ways. And that's when it becomes an issue. And it's not necessarily telling people, don't say this, don't say this, don't say this. It's really just kind of making sure that like accountability is held in the right way across the board. If crazy white people were, hopefully one day held as accountable for their actions and shit like that as, a person of color that's literally carrying a joint, then I think then we're able to have the conversation of like, yeah, people should be able to say and do whatever they want, but we're just not there. I think we're just kind of still living in a system where it's slanted, and there's, people like me in particular, being a white fucking person from Maryland, is light years ahead in terms of being in a safer place than most other people, which is I recognize that, and I'm aware of that, and I do not take it for granted the way I did when I was a kid.
Well, my man, we've been on here for a while. I think we said it all.
Yeah, we went off.
I enjoy your energy, my man.
I apologize. Yeah.
And
there's I'm in a band.
Well, this will be good for our video portion of it, and then we write an article on you guys, and obviously in the article it's gonna be all band stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking about the EP, and I'm gonna take some quotes from this and help write it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I like if it's one thing about the band, it would be very much yeah, this was kind of an inevitable sort of dream project of mine that like I very, very stoked on. Like up in Boston, there's Cave-In, Old Man Gloom, like Zozo Bra, like all those bands where it's like all rotating kind of cast members, but it's all the same dudes. It's all, you know, Aaron and Nate and Stephen Brodsky and stuff like that. DC kind of had that back in the salad days of stuff, and we are nowhere near that level. But you know, Kyle was in Pianos Become the Teeth. I was in Caverns with Kevin. Was in Black Clouds with Jimmy. Matt was in Deleted Scenes, The Effects. We would all play together like over the past 20 years or so in some capacity, sharing bills and stuff like that. So it's nice to finally be in a band with all these dudes, like all at the same time, and putting out music that all of us genuinely enjoy playing, writing, recording, and everything of the sorts. And it seems like people are responding to it. So I'm excited about it. And it's like, not to get all Dune, but you know, this is just the beginning of, you know, the whole thing for us, which is an exciting feeling, because it felt like the rug got pulled out from under us with COVID. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my man, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Good luck on this new project, or on your project, and the new LP or EP, and your new single. So
I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure that they send you a copy of it. And then if you have any follow-up questions, just shoot me an email or whatever, and I swear I'll keep it on topic.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Thanks, Tim.
Bye-bye.